I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
And this is Fish Jelly.
Yeah, sure is.
Welcome back. We missed last week.
What happened?
Oh, the tragedy of it all. We had a rough week,
We did.
which I don't think is appropriate to talk about.
No.
Yeah. But we're fine.
Uh-huh.
No one died.
No?
Well, something died. No, I'm just kidding. No. It was just a rough week. And then it felt kind of like I feel like Monday's appropriate to release. Like Sundays have been the
Recording.
recording and when I will post it. Monday seemed like a fair extension. But after Monday, it seems like
Let's just, yeah.
we just get an F for that week because if I were a school teacher, I'd be like, girl, don't even bother. Just take the L and move on.
Yep, which is what we did.
Which is what we did. But here we are, another week, more Drag Race.
Lots and lots and lots of
Let's just
drag.
get that out of the way. Okay, so RuPaul's Drag Race season 14.
Yeah.
We caught up on episodes 4 and 5. Do you recall what episode 4 was?
No.
That was She's a Super Tease. So they got the queens got split into two groups, and they each had to make like a teaser trailer.
Okay,
but
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of like with a heightened version of themselves. I thought they were funny.
That's right. That's the one where Alyssa Hunter went home.
Yes, I thought they were funny.
And who won that one?
Angeria won.
Angeria. But Willow was also good too.
Yes. So I thought both groups made it fun. There were a lot of funny moments.
Yeah, and I also recall liking Deja. Is her name Deja Sky?
Yes, I thought she was funny. She had the line about, I was born at a really young age.
Yeah.
And that she couldn't walk for the first 2 years of her life.
And then she dressed up as that cow, and I think they really underrated her performance.
I think they did as well. But Angeria
was excellent.
She was really funny. She made the word ugly like a four-syllable
Ugly,
word.
you ugly
You
bitch.
ugly bitch. And then the runway theme was Night of 1,000 J-Los, Jennifer Lopez's. Which I thought was interesting because I don't think J-Lo is known for her iconic looks. I think she's known for being very sexy.
Yes.
But there are only a couple of garments that stick out in my head.
Yes, but she does have the garment that was the reason for Google Images. So it's
Right.
like...
So,
you know.
yes, it's interesting because that green Versace dress in the 90s changed, like, pop culture.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I think of her as having a very particular style, like very like form-fitting, high slits.
Throwing on her Louboutins.
Yeah, like definitely loves her Louboutins and loves showing her ass, and her hair is always kind of the same. And
Yeah, but
so-
always beautiful.
but yes, and always beautiful. So the queens, the references they chose, it wasn't very. It's not like choosing Madonna, who has like.
Kimono, you better don't.
Kimono, you better don't. Like someone like Madonna, that made sense because she has a million references.
Yes.
So yeah, there were only like 2 that I recognized.
Sure. I mean, I'm just not ever paying that much attention to fashion, as Iman says.
But a standout for that was Carrie Colby. She actually wore the Versace dress J-Lo wore in like 2018, I believe, or 2017.
that was 20...
Was it 20? Whatever. When J-Lo...
Maybe 2018's right.
When J-Lo walked Versace again wearing like a replica of the dress, Carrie Colby she actually got a hold of that dress.
Yeah.
Which I found out
On
was
loan.
like one of the Gettys
Yeah.
owns the dress.
That
like
makes
it's
sense.
part of their archive and they lent it to her. Unfortunately, Carrie Colby ended up in the bottom with Alyssa Hunter, and she even says like, I can't ruin this dress.
Right.
So you can tell that she's not performing in a way she'd like to because she's afraid of ruining the dress, and still beat Alyssa Hunter.
Alyssa Hunter, poor thing, was just dull.
I didn't care for her. I thought she was doing a lot, and it's like, well, you're like a pretty drag queen, but her in the challenge was very one note.
Yep.
So I'm not mad at her being the next to go. Episode 5, the theme was Save a Queen. So Rue brought back 3 queens from previous seasons who were the first to be eliminated. So Tempest du Jour,
James Mansfield.
and
And
who was the third one? Oh, God. Oh, Kamora Hall.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Who loves her Bob Fosse.
Not
Or
Bob Fosse.
Bob
Mackie.
back, yeah.
But they split the remaining queens into 3 groups, and each of them had to make a PSA supporting each of these queens. I thought they all did, like, there were a lot of funny moments. The winner of the challenge was Bosco. I thought she was really funny in the challenge, and she looked great in the runway because the runway theme was Spring Has Sprung, and Bosco came out wearing like a cloud, fashioned like a mini dress, and then did a reveal where it like unrolled into like this lovely yellow gown that felt like spring. And then her fucking head looked, her entire look was beautiful, but her face and her hair was perfect. She has that particular way she does her makeup with the eyebrows that look like cursive writing that I thought just looked so perfect. Well deserved. And Jiria also did a really great job. She was in the top as well.
It's just her dress. The top of her dress didn't fit.
Yeah, she just had an ill-fitting dress. In the bottom were Georges and Orion's story. Georges seems like a really sweet kid. He's very talented as a performer, but I think he doesn't. He seems like one of those people who doesn't have a lot to say. Like, he doesn't have a POV, so it's hard for him to express himself.
Yes.
So I think
beyond just being pretty. Yeah.
Right.
Which is a lot of people's problems.
Well, yeah, tell me about it. No. I don't know how I overcame it, but anyway. And then Orion's story. He's been flat from the beginning. And, you know, for the first 4 episodes, for all 5 episodes he's been on, I kept saying he reminds me of someone. And then it hit me. He reminds me of a combination of Carmen Carrera and Fran Drescher.
Okay.
But Carmen Carrera has no personality.
No.
So I think he borrows that from her. I wish he would have Fran Drescher's personality. But yeah, he was super flat.
But sweet.
And then this lip sync, to me, was on the level of when Kamora Hall had to lip sync against Denali.
Oh, where Denali did.
It was just curtains for you, bitch.
100% pure love.
Yeah. George's was like, I mean, I would love to see George's lip sync against Denali. Because that little bitch wore her out. It was kind of embarrassing even watching Orion try, but she did.
She did.
And you're not supposed to give up, so good for her. But they sent her ass packing. And of course, neither of the queens who were eliminated, Alyssa Hunter nor Orion Story, had the golden chocolate bar.
Oh, I keep forgetting that.
I keep forgetting about that too. I do think it's a cute gag.
The drag gods.
Yeah, the drag gods.
If there were drag gods, they wouldn't be eating chocolate.
Yeah, they'd be eating Tic Tacs.
Yeah,
or something.
So, you know, just say
okay, moving on. So there's a new show from World of Wonder called RuPaul's Drag Craze. RuPaul's Drag Race UK versus the world.
Why is it called that?
I don't know, because one of the Juju B, who's one of the contestants, made a funny comment about basically like colonizers. So yeah, I think the title's horrible. Also, the title makes it seem like it's going to be this grand epic thing. But we watched episode 1, and that shit felt real bargain bin.
It did.
The opening was like, what, 10 minutes of like the queens being introduced? That felt so low budget and so uninspired. There are 9 queens. So the premise is there are 3 UK queens competing against queens from other franchises.
But as individuals too.
So I don't understand why they're calling it UK versus the world.
No, and there's like one from Holland and one from...
Well, here, let's name them.
Oh.
So the 3 from the UK are Bag of Chips, Much Better, Blue Hydrangea, who I don't really remember anything of her except she looked really young.
I remember you saying she was cute.
I thought she was the cutest of the group.
Oh, okay.
But that's like being the smartest Kardashian.
Okay.
And then Cheryl Hole, who to me reminded me of like if Jan were like a decent person, like not a robot.
Oh yeah. No, Cheryl does have a nice personality.
Because Cheryl is also very talented as a dancer and a singer,
sweet.
but she seems sweet.
Yeah.
So I did like Cheryl.
It reminds
Hole.
me. Well, I guess I shouldn't say. I thought she looked like she could be cousins with Michael Henry.
Oh, well, I mean, you know. The truth is the truth, people. And then Cheryl Hole on one episode of UK's Drag Race got to meet Cheryl Cole, who's his namesake.
Oh, yes, that's
I
right.
thought that was a really sweet episode. Because very few of all the hundreds of episodes, you know, it's rare we get to see a queen meet like their real idol.
Like
because Lady Gaga, I want to call her Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga doesn't count.
Lady Gaga. Widow Von Du and...
Like Widow Von Du getting to meet Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
I was emotional about that. I think seeing Cheryl Hole meet Cheryl Cole. But, you know, there have been a few moments.
somebody meeting Emma Bunton.
The two-spirit contestant on Canada's Drag Race meeting that one singer who he had her tattoo on his neck.
Was it Ali X?
I think that's it.
Okay. Which Ali X actually has, if you've never heard her music, has some really great tracks.
Yeah, there have been some moments. So I remember Cheryl Hole for that. Okay, the remaining 6 contestants are Janie Jacquet from Holland, Jimbo from Canada, Jujubee from everything, Monique Hart, who did change her name to Mo Hart.
Oh, girl. Okay.
Because she says she's trying to evolve her brand, and she thinks she's more everything, so it was more appropriate to just be called Mo.
So a nickname? Just say it's your nickname.
I don't know, whatever. But I do like Monique Hart, so now I guess
I do
she's
too,
Mo.
but at this point it feels like she's trying really hard.
But you know, I guess if that were my, you know, path, I guess I would do everything I could. Next is Pangina Heels, who was a guest. She was like a judge on Drag Race Thailand. So she never actually competed. She was just a judge. And then Lemon from Canada's Drag Race. Their first challenge was, I don't even remember. What was their, a talent show. So,
As usual, which
I wasn't impressed by any of them. The winner was Pangina.
you were impressed. I thought you liked Jimbo's.
Oh, Jimbo. Yes, Jimbo did this really weird sort of avant-garde, like, he comes out looking like he's pregnant.
A pregnant alien.
And he's holding a briefcase labeled talent. And then he opens the briefcase and there's no talent. And then he like shits out like a slab of cold cuts and then starts flipping the cold cuts in the air and they stick to him. And that's his talent. And I thought that was so subversive. So,
like literally you can throw shit.
and people will applaud.
And people will applaud.
I thought it was very smart. And I think that was deserving of him being in the top for sure. And then fucking Lemon and Janie Jacquet end up in the bottom. Janie did a lip sync to a song where the lyrics were imperceptible and she seemed very flat.
No, Lemon.
No, Janie. Remember she does that like striptease where she keeps taking off stuff and then she's lip syncing words, but you can't hear the words.
Oh, okay.
Like the song was quiet. It was just a really weird song to lip sync to. And then Lemon performed a song she wrote. And I think she also seemed flat. Although I feel like the fact that she did an original song seemed like she didn't deserve to be in the bottom.
There was somebody much worse, I thought. Oh, Jujubee.
I thought Jujubee keeps singing. Why does she keep singing?
Stop that, please.
This is the 4th time now we have to hear her sing, and she is not good. But Lemon gets sent
I mean,
home.
she's not like terrible, but is your talent? I don't know.
Ugh.
Might
Yeah,
want to
poor Lemon got sent home.
learn some card tricks if I were you, but
Anyway, that's Drag Race for now. What did I want to say about that? Oh, you know, I love the fact that there's this, you know, 60-year-old gay black man who dresses in drag and has become sort of like he's part of the zeitgeist and has
for sure.
a very popular franchise, and I hope he's making his money, and
you know he is.
And I know he's fracking, but whatever. I think what he represents is really meaningful, but I'm just afraid the quality of all this shit is good. You know, Australia was terrible.
Australia was bad. Yeah.
Italy was terrible. Spain was questionable in my mind. And then I think like this UK versus the world shit. I mean, I hope it picks up.
I don't, you know,
he's spreading himself very thin.
He is, and the U.S. thing, the U.S. seasons are hit or miss because the one with the season with Simone, though I like Simone, I really didn't like most of those. I don't like when you can see kind of the gears of production so plainly.
Yes.
I think that I like this current season more when everybody seems a bit more affable. But yeah, I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot.
But moving on, so you covered Sundance and Rotterdam in the time we've been away. So you
Yeah,
came
Rotterdam
up,
just ended this weekend.
so you came up with a top 5 for Sundance. Do you want to go through those?
Sure.
Go ahead.
I gotta look at my email.
First is Call Jane. The
Oh,
Janes.
like my number one, I think was the new Sigourney Weaver movie, which I saw twice, and you watched that once with me. But
We
I
made
think
a video about it.
we did. We reviewed it, and I also wrote a review at Ion Cinema for it. It just got picked up by Roadside Attractions this week, so that's good. Somebody better mount an Oscar campaign for her.
Somebody better.
But I think I tied that with the documentary, The Janes, because I think I felt in between watching Call Jane twice, I watched the documentary, which I think filled in a lot of holes that the fictionalized true story did not. So yeah, what do I have? Number 2, Resurrection, directed by Andrew Siemens. What a weird, bizarre movie with an excellent lead performance from Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth in this creepy, weird performance.
I have to look up who Rebecca Hall is.
Really?
Let me see here.
She directed my number 2
Oh,
pick
is
of the
she
year.
in that movie about the house?
Yeah, The Night House, and she directed Passing.
Oh, that's her?
That's Rebecca Hall, yeah.
That lady directed Passing?
Yeah, she's got, which was my original thought when she announced the project, but when it premiered at Sundance in 2021, she said that she was exploring her own
Ethnic background?
mixed race heritage.
Let me
yeah.
see. Let me look up her parents. Hold on.
Anyhow,
Oh, her mom does look brown.
she's got some brownness in her. I don't know, but
Wow, don't we all? Don't we
oh
all?
God. Anyway, she gives this fantastic performance in this really weird movie that has some excellent dialogue. Somebody compared it to Zulawski, which it doesn't. I don't know if it's that apeshit, but very interesting film that I would watch again and I hope review. The next film, number 3 I have is Emergency, directed by Carey Williams, which you did watch with me.
Emergency?
Yeah, with those two,
The black guys?
yeah, those young men in college.
Oh, who was the one I really liked?
The
I need to say his name.
okay, I don't know the actor's name, and I have to look it up.
Okay, we'll continue and I'll look it up.
Just these two black kids at this college, and there's some big party night going on where there's at the different frat houses. There's 5 different parties, and there's been no black student that's been able to hit all 5 in one night, and they want this to be their distinction. One of them is very smart. The one that's driving this endeavor is not. And as they begin their evening, they find a teenage white girl drunk and passed out in their house, and by trying to do the right thing, they ostensibly put themselves in danger. And it starts off as kind of this, a typical zany college comedy, and then becomes kind of really dark and strenuous, and then a really touching and poignant story about friendship. And I was in tears by the end of it, but.
Yeah, I think the actor's name is R.J. Seiler. He's one of him.
Yep, that's him. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was so impressed.
Which I've
by
seen him in something else, I think, too.
He's in something called Me and Earl and the Dying Girl.
Oh, that one
Power
Sundance.
Rangers, The Harder They Fall.
Oh, The Harder They Fall, I just saw him in, yeah.
And Scream Resurrection. I've never seen this gentleman before, but I just thought he was so magnetic on screen. Like,
He was. And he was... Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, I remember hating that movie. But Emergency was very...
Yeah, I hope he gets more shine because he just had such a nice presence on screen. I know you were emotional, especially because one of the characters who's supposed to be kind of like white, the other black male, his best friend is supposed to seem whitewashed.
Yeah.
And then he gets the black man in America against the police experience for the first time and has sort of a breakthrough in understanding that, like,
He's not exempt.
he's not exempt. And that his friend really was looking out for him. And yeah,
They just have a really nice kind of final scene in the denouement where they come back together, and it's very emotional. And
moving on, another movie called You Won't Be Alone.
yes, which is, I think it's set in Macedonia, directed by Goran Stolevski, but stars like a lot of really notable people like Numi Rapace, the Romanian actress Anna Maria Marinka, Alice Englert, who of course is the daughter of Jane Campion, and I was hoping we'd have time to watch it, but it comes out in April, so I'm sure I'll get a screener for us to review it then. But what a strange and beautiful movie. It's about a witch that takes this woman's baby. This woman owes her something in the 19th century Macedonia, and then does all this body switching and really experiences what it's like to be human through very gendered prisms, because this witch inhabits the body of women of different ages and men, and experiencing sexuality. And I don't know, by the end of it, I found myself really moved in ways that you would not expect, especially from where it begins. And I don't know, I was just very impressed by that. And it's set in Macedonia, and it's narrated by the child that this witch steals. So none of these actors that don't speak the native language are actually speaking, which I thought was a really inventive way to have this fantastic cast in this strange international co-production.
Excuse me while I pop a can of soda.
Got a cold pop.
I got a cold pop. All right. And finally, Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul.
So, I really like...
Jesus?
No, not at all. In
Jesus. You've liked some Jesuses.
I'd like some Jesuses, but they're not affiliated with that pie in the sky. Pie
in the sky.
I'm a big fan of Regina Hall. And she had 2 movies at Sundance this year, both of which I saw. Master was interesting, but it had a supernatural element I really didn't feel like it needed. But that had an interesting tangents about colorism, by the way. Anyway, I did really appreciate Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul. It plays like a movie if Christopher Guest was tackling Greenleaf. It might play.
Oh.
It might play like Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul, which is about this documentary crew following Regina Hall and her husband, played by Sterling K. Brown, who are trying to revive their megachurch after a sex scandal of his involvement has toppled it. And it's mostly from Regina's perspective as his wife. And they're not really clear on what the sex scandal is, but about halfway through the film you learn, he was fucking these young men. Which is also something it's very taboo to talk about, gay men in the church, like T.D. Jakes or something like that.
Well, T.D. Jakes is not, it's the other one.
I thought there were rumors about T.D. Jakes as well. But maybe I'm mistaken.
You're thinking of someone else.
Sorry to this man.
Yeah, but I'm going to correct. You continue, and I'm going to say who.
But or Tyler Perry or any of the. What? Okay. Anyway, there's a lot of DL gay men in the church that we all know.
You were thinking of Eddie Long.
Okay.
Yes.
But no judgment. But whatever. So it's basically this really funny kind of film where Regina's doing her thing, and then all of a sudden it gets really serious. In ways that I don't know are always entirely successful, but they do have this woman on the side of the road with a sign that says "Honk for Jesus, Save Your Soul," and then they put her in this like white face mime makeup, and she's talking about praise mimes.
Oh.
It's interesting, and I recommend it.
Lastly, I just wanted to talk about Sundance, because I was in the room. I watched 2 Sundance films with you, but I was in the room for more than 2, and I have to say a lot of them seem to have like a similar vibe. And then I was present for when like the program directors were introducing people, and I kept thinking like, is this a Utah thing where like, the program director announcing the film Alice, and it's like this corny white dude who's talking about like this formative performance, like his favorite of the film. And I just wonder, like, is Sundance known for just like, are these some out of touch Mormon white folks choosing all these movies, and that's why they think these things that are edgy are really kind of corny and ridiculous?
I feel Sundance has always felt out of touch, but I think it's because they swing in the opposite way. Like they're so inclusive that they almost achieve the opposite effect of what they're going for.
Well, speaking of that, then I watched that trans documentary,
Framing Agnes.
Where did you already talk about that?
No, I didn't put it on there.
Where it's like,
it was not my favorites. These were my 5 favorites.
That's right. I watched another Sundance selection about where the director took like trans people and had them talk about their experiences after they have like done recreations or dramatizations of historic trans people, which was so interesting because they all, I don't know, I didn't pay 100% attention, but what really threw me off was they discover like some psychologists or psychiatrists medical records, like some deceased psychiatrist. They pull their medical records and then they're telling the stories of these people they found in the medical records. And I just thought that felt so invasive. And then like they have these actors, like people we recognize from Pose and other things, notable trans people playing these characters. And I just thought that seemed, I don't know, that seems so, and it won like an audience award or something.
It did. But yeah, that's Sundance in a nutshell. Always the competition films. There's rarely something that feels really that blows me away. Rebecca Hall's passing was one of those things, and of course went home empty-handed.
Oh, what was the one with the big girl who fell in love with the serial killer?
Oh, Piggy.
That was interesting.
That was interesting. That was in the midnight section, though. I find that films in their next section, like You Won't Be Alone, usually are kind of where Sundance is trying to be edgy. But it is, by far my least favorite major film festival. I don't think they take a lot of chances in any way. You'll notice that a lot of the people, once you're kind of in, it's very political, the process of selection amongst the programmers. So, but there were tons of movies I saw. I saw about 45 movies, and it was, I don't know if I could come up with a top 10.
Oh,
Let
wow.
me just put it that way. Both of Dakota Johnson's movies I didn't really like, including Cha-Cha Real Smooth, which was directed by Cooper Raiff, and I know you liked his first film, Shithouse. And
oh, yes. I also watched part of that.
It had some nice moments, but it also felt really familiar and kind of basic. And the other Dakota Johnson movie directed by Tig Notaro and her girlfriend, Am I Okay? Lena Dunham's movie, Sharp Stick. All of these movies just are based on these weird, quirky idiosyncrasies. And then I think everything else has been also hobbled by, the pandemic. So like these very condensed, two-handers or very small casts, like stuck in a room, acting out. It just feels like so much of this was rushed so people could tell stories in this period. And it's like, well, not a lot of these stories were worth telling. Ultimately, it feels like.
Well, let's move on. So, Rotterdam. There are two films you watched.
Including, I have a couple more that I want to watch, including the film that won the Tiger Award, which is the top award at Rotterdam. Oh, and also, I'm waiting to get access to Mabrouk El Mekri's new film. Mabrouk directed JCVD, that Jean-Claude Van Damme movie where he plays himself.
I saw that in Toronto, didn't I?
No, we watched it at home, but it was out of the...
No, I saw it and he was there.
That was...
that was at the Newport Beach
Film Festival. And that was called Welcome to the Jungle.
Oh, never mind.
Where Dennis Haysbert also was in attendance.
That's right. Okay, never mind.
No, JCVD, but we did watch it. And then he directed that movie with Sigourney Weaver, Bruce Willis, and Henry Cavill, The Cold Light of Day, which wasn't very good. But of course, we went to the only theater playing that in LA in 2012, which was at the Grove, I think. Anyhow, I'm excited to see his new movie. So I watched, there's this director from Kazakhstan called Adilkin Yurzanov, and I don't know how it's been. He works a lot, and I've probably seen 5 or 6 of his movies and covered a couple of them. But he had a new movie called The Assault at Rotterdam, which I liked the first 3/4 of it quite a bit. And then this Polish director, Ursula Antoniak, who has also directed 5 or 6 films, all of which I've seen but her first. She did a COVID movie called Splendid Isolation about these 2 women who I believe are lesbians stuck on this island after escaping something. And then a third woman shows up that's supposed to be Death, and she's come to take one of them. Which is interesting per se, and it had like Ingmar Bergman-esque qualities to it. But ultimately, again, as I was just saying, it felt very much like, because of the world right now, this is how this story is going to look and play.
Okay, we need to move on. So, films that were released we didn't cover. The first is The Worst Person in the World.
I had really, we had a very busy week dealing with lots of things, but I had hoped we would make time to watch this. I covered it at camp.
Oh, you know what? We have to come up with phrases we want on our merch, and I think that should be one.
What?
That you wish I would have made time to see this.
Oh, okay. There you go. Write that down. Yes, but it was a favorite out of Cannes. Renata Renz won Best Actress for her performance. It's a Joachim Trier film. It was Norwegian. I guess they're now saying it's like the third part of his loosely related Oslo trilogy. But it kind of a romantic melodrama, but very well told. Great female lead. Anders Danielsen Lee is in it, who's a regular in Trier's films. I think you really would have liked it, but alas, we did not.
Next, The Wolf and the Lion.
Oh, that's some film that opened this week that I think is for kids. I'm forgetting what it's about, though.
Oh, okay. Well, moving on to movies we watch for fun, there are none except I rewatched The Gospel According to Andre.
Okay.
So since Andre Leon Talley, I've been thinking a lot about him, and I've actually been spending a lot of time in the background watching interviews with him, little other documentaries about him. I even actually started watching the Diana Vreeland documentary. Just started hoping I would get a glimpse of him, but I don't know. I am anti-fashion. I don't have great style. I don't care about fashion.
I wouldn't say you're anti-fashion.
I think
I don't know that it's an interest, but when you want to look nice, you do.
Well, thank you. I don't. Yeah, but I have no connection to fashion. I don't care about labels. I don't know anything about labels. In fact, the only reason I know about some fancy things like accessories and luxury items is the years I worked in Las Vegas buying those things for people. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason I know a lot about some things, but I have no interest in any of it. So it just surprises me that I feel so connected to Andre Leon Talley. But I think it's seeing this big black man from the segregated South just transcend his circumstance. Mm-hmm. To get a master's degree in French literature and to have traveled the world and to be so cultured and just listening to him talk is just, it kind of reminds me of you in a way, reference. Mm-hmm. He can't, it's almost like he can't say enough words to get everything out. Mm-hmm. And just like you, it's grating sometimes, but I think overall it's quite impressive. And it's it almost makes me feel like I ain't shit. I don't do enough. I don't read enough. I'm not smart enough, but I don't know. I just feel he really is a testament to me. Well, first of all, the documentary, The Gospel According to Andre, I would recommend it. I think it's very well constructed. Yes. And I think there are a lot of, he gets pretty honest and covers a lot of topics. So I think it's a good watch, even if you don't care about fashion or know who this man is. It's impressive to know what he accomplished. But I think just witnessing this person who, he's a testament to what's that fucking shit everyone talked about after reading The Secret? When you make your vision board and you
put it out there.
Yeah, but what's that word everyone used? Starts with an I think. My brain is freezing, but we know what I'm talking about. Manifesting.
Manifest starts with an I.
Starts with an I in it. Well, it's two eyes. Well, it's four eyes that you arrange into an M. But
that's a way to look at it.
I feel like he is what manifesting is about. It's not just enough to want things. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants things. Mm-hmm. Everyone wants a certain kind of car and a house or a watch, or they want to go to eat at these restaurants. People just want things, but that's not enough. You have to actually create a plan and then put yourself out there. And I think people don't do that. I think people don't, that man, packed his little 13 pieces of non-matching luggage, as he says, and flew his black ass to Paris. Mm-hmm. Because he loved French literature and he could speak French and nothing was going to stop him. He was not afraid. And I just think that's so
I think
amazing.
Something that struck me when you were watching an interview with him that felt very familiar is that woman is asking him, because he had to go to the white side of town to buy the fashion magazines as a kid, and experiencing racism and how that felt. And he's like, to be honest, my goal was to get to this place I needed to be and get these.
He had tunnel vision.
And I feel that felt very familiar because I feel like I've gone and done a lot of things in places that people consider dangerous or like, weren't you aware that these things happen there? Because it was like, no, there was this place there that I wanted to go to, and that felt very familiar. Yeah.
Moving on. So projects of interest, something called, well, I don't know who Chris McKay is, but Renfield?
Renfield. You don't know who Renfield is?
No.
That's Dracula's right-hand man from the insane asylum.
Oh.
Renfield. So Chris McKay directed one of the worst films last year.
Which was?
The Tomorrow War.
Oh.
So shockingly, he's on an item of interest for me because he's directing, I'm guessing it's a comedy, called Renfield, starring Nicolas Cage as Dracula.
Oh, I'd watch that.
So I think that'll be entertaining no matter what. Awkwafina's also in it, and Shohreh Aghdashloo, who I've met, and I really like her voice and her look and everything about her. But
next, Berlin Nobody, Jordan Scott.
So, both of Ridley Scott's children direct movies now. But his daughter is Jordan Scott, and I don't think she's done a film since her debut, which was Cracks back in 2010, which I didn't think was very good, but had Ava Green in this nice Joan Crawford-style performance. And the new movie, Berlin Nobody, is based on a book called Tokyo, which sounds really good. Eric Bana's in the film, and it's about a cop exploring a cult, I think. So, shit that's right up my alley. And I wanted to note that Paul Schrader's Master Gardener, starring Sigourney Weaver, began filming this week. They filled out the cast. They had been trying to get Zendaya, and now it's Quintessa Swindell playing Sigourney's niece, who we saw in the film Voyagers. And Isai Morales has also joined the cast.
All right. Moving on to the obituaries. I added a couple.
Let's do yours first.
Yeah. So there's Chesley Christ. She was crowned Miss USA in 2019. She committed suicide from jumping from her 60-story apartment building in Manhattan.
When was this?
Like a week ago.
Oh.
But she's notable, and I recognize her name because she won Miss USA that year where Miss USA, Miss America, and Miss Universe
were all black.
Were all black.
That's right. Okay.
So, that's sad. I mean, obviously a gorgeous woman who, experienced this thing of winning Miss USA, but obviously had other things going on. So it's sad to think about. If people need help out there, they should go get it.
Yes.
But like I always say, if she wanted to jump, I mean, I guess...
boy.
I guess she did what she was trying to do. Next is a gentleman named Howard Hesseman. He was an actor best known from WKRP Cincinnati. He was older, like in his 80s, and I think he passed from complications from surgery. But I recognize him because I liked watching WKRP Cincinnati as a kid because I liked Lonnie Anderson. Not like I had a crush on her, but I just thought she looked really cool. I liked her hair.
Sure, of course.
I remember thinking her face looks cool. So he's gone. Lastly, someone named Monica Vitti.
Someone named Monica Vitti.
I don't know her.
Oh my God, the face of the Italian New Wave.
That Monica Vitti. Yes, of course. Go ahead. Did you expect me to know who she was?
I told you days ago that we would be talking about her. I expected that you would have looked her up, but okay. Actually, one of the secret film I was going to do was La Ventura, but which is such a great movie, but it's, I mean, I don't know that you would have had the patience to watch it right now, but La Ventura was one of the films kicked off the Italian New Wave with directed by Michelangelo Antonioni, who did 3 very notable films with her that comprise a sort of a thematic series, including L'Eclisse and La Notte, The Night and the Eclipse. And also Red Desert. Those are kind of my top 4 favorites with her, obviously. And then she did do Phantom of Liberty, Phantom of Liberty with Buñuel, which is a film I've been trying to get you to watch for a long time too. One film that she did that I do find really hard to get through, and I know it has its cult following, is Modesty Blaise, where she plays the female, the lady spy. That film's a bit hard to get to, but definitely a great beauty, a striking film presence.
You came up with your top 5 movies of hers.
I already said them.
You did?
Yeah, the 3 Antonionis and Red Desert.
Well, what are their names?
La Ventura, La Clese, La Notte, Red Desert, and Phantom of Liberty is Buñuel.
Okay, perfect. All right, so our secret film this week, you said was going to be one of her films, but it was a little too...
I didn't want to watch something depressing this week, so I wanted to watch something light, and also in support of Whoopi Goldberg, who's made some who made some comments that were incorrect, apologized for them, and is still being suspended from The View. Which
I'm not prepared to talk about that because I'm not quite sure what she said.
She said that the Nazis hating the Jews, the Nazis and the Jewish, the Holocaust was not a race issue. It was along those lines because it's all white people, and which is incorrect because the Nazis believed they were a superior race and the Jews were an inferior race. And although you can get into some differentiations there. Obviously, it's different than race issues in the U.S., but it still was a race issue. But she, recanted, apologized, brought somebody on to, kind of shed some light on this. We all make ignorant comments, and sometimes that's how we learn new things. So it's really disappointing to me that they decided to suspend this woman everybody's talking about how intention doesn't matter anymore, and I have to disagree. Intention does matter, and her intention was not that. And when we have Fox News and people say all these horrid, terrible things and there are no repercussions, yet we take Whoopi Goldberg off the air for making an incorrect statement that she's apologized for, we're becoming the things that we hate when we do that. And to me, that's fascism. To me, that's censorship. We have to be able to forgive and move on. And I don't believe that she deserved to be punished for that. Anyway, so this film I chose this week was Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit, directed by the great Bill Duke.
I haven't seen Sister
which I didn't realize when I put it on.
Because when you put it on, I'm like, oh, I haven't seen the first one. I don't know why I'd watch the second one.
The first one, so I've never seen the second one. The first one is better, which was directed by Emile Ardolino, who I think died right before this second one. Or Ardolino is best known for Dirty Dancing.
Okay. All right. So... overall, I thought the movie was kind of whack. The basic story is, the first film, Whoopi's character is like a Vegas, lounge singer who's in a relationship with a mob boss, and she gets into some trouble, so she has to go into witness protection, and that's what ends with that's where we find her in this nunnery or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's what I understand.
In San Francisco. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the second movie, Sister Act 2. Whoopi's back in Vegas as a headliner, and the nuns come find her because they're like, girl, the school we work in is in trouble. These students ain't shit. We don't have a music program. You need to come help. And she agrees to drop her headlining Vegas show.
That it seems to be a hit based on the audience. To be a hit. Based on audience engagements in the beginning.
To go help these nuns for an indefinite amount of time.
That show in the beginning is stressful.
My first note is that opening medley gave me a headache.
I was like, oh.
It almost felt like, you know how you get warnings when there are strobe lights if you have epilepsy?
Yeah.
I feel like that opening should have had a warning.
This is too much.
If you don't already have epilepsy, this would have given it to you. You would have caught epilepsy. But anyway, she agrees to go to the school, and she's the new music teacher. These students ain't shit. The main one is Lauryn Hill, mm-hmm. and it is so predictable.
Oh,
it
yes.
is so paint by numbers. It's almost, it is painful almost to watch. But she turns these kids around, makes them create a choir, and then in the background, the school is closing because it's not making any money, mm-hmm. and there's nothing. The school has no accomplishments or accolades.
That it seems that the staff is keeping secret from the students and parents. even though it's closing at the end of the semester, and it's the only school in the district.
So how are these students and parents supposed to prepare for the impending closure? But of course, this choir gets entered into a competition that they win, and then of course the archdiocese or whomever controls these Catholic schools says the school can stay open now that it has some notoriety.
It won this. We got to get ready for the next year choir competition.
The end. Okay, so I'm just gonna run through my notes really quickly. I didn't realize, like, usually we don't see Whoopi later in her career sort of looking more glamorous.
Sure.
But I thought she looked really nice, and like she had a little body on her. Okay. Which normally I don't like to comment on people's bodies because you can't, but I guess because I'm not used to seeing her.
Sure, but if you go back and watch her 80s, mid to late 80s work, and this is 93, she was beautiful.
My next note after the epileptic opening medley is it's so refreshing to see natural faces, especially Whoopi's.
Yes.
Because she's wearing very, very light makeup, like powder and chapstick. And she has beautiful skin.
Yeah.
She has a nice face. And I just thought, gosh, it's
like, and a range of expression.
But not just her. I mean, all of the characters. It's like we see these real faces.
These old white lady nun like Maggie Smith and I'm forgetting the lady that plays Mary Lazarus.
Yeah, that was really like I forget because even in other '90s films,
Mary Wicks.
These kids like they're all overly done. But then, of course, a movie revolving around nuns, they are going to be very basic looking. And so we don't often, even in the 90s, see female characters who just look natural. So that stood out to me a lot. Oh my God. There's a scene. So we know that Whoopi's character is wearing a wig because we see her take the wig off. And then there's a scene where Whoopi is sitting on the bed and whoever styled this scene made it look like she had just washed her hair. And it's just like, people who wear wigs don't wash their wig and then put the shit on to dry. Like that's not how it goes.
It doesn't dry on your head.
No,
but I mean, but the nuns come to her room and maybe she felt like she.
That's what I was thinking. Like maybe in a rush she threw her wig on,
but it's like I wish we would see that then because otherwise it creates a strange impression.
Yes. So then Whoopi's in this classroom with these badass kids. They don't want to learn, and then she sort of turns them around very quickly, and they take a field trip to go see the nuns perform in like a senior center. Those nuns singing in the senior center was cringy.
I had those kind of goosebumps you get when you want something to end right away, or you have to,
or when you just want to drop dead for 5 minutes,
or you have to defecate and there's no bathroom nearby.
It was not good.
Same with the kids performing the choir, though.
Well, that wasn't as bad, but yes, Lauryn Hill. I know this was her breakout,
her debut.
And she's a very talented singer, rapper, songwriter. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is obviously a highly, highly critically acclaimed, multi-Grammy winning album. So very talented. But I just think in this movie, it's just this girl with like a shitty personality.
She's not given the ability, she's not given a character to really play.
I'm surprised that I'm sure Sister Act 2 was a big deal when it came out. And that's probably the only reason Lauryn Hill got attention. Because if that movie were just like something that dropped, Lauryn Hill would not get any attention. She did not, like you said, she didn't get a chance to shine.
We were talking about why they chose her for this role as the standout singer as opposed to, what's her name?
So Tanya Blount is one of the students, and I'm very familiar with her because she had some minor R&B hits in the 90s, and she has I prefer like church voices, and that's what Tanya Blount has. So to me, she's the better singer, but then like you said when we were talking about it, Lauryn Hill has a more distinct voice.
She's a very distinct voice.
So and she's a beautiful singer. So it makes sense to me why they chose her, not Tanya. But so I don't care for this movie. I think the biggest reason is I don't know that I would even classify it as a comedy. There are no jokes. There are very few jokes.
There's no dramatic tension or catharsis.
And then there's no dramatic tension. And then it's like, if it's supposed to be a feel-good movie, I feel like it fails because I'm not invested in these students who are not well-written. I'm not invested in the staff because if you haven't seen the first film, it's almost like this pairing of
The nuns have nothing to do
they
with
have
this.
zero to do because everything they did happened in the first movie.
Yeah, and poor, like Kathy Najimy.
Oh, Kathy Najimy just
and
looks crazy.
And Maggie Smith. And what's her name? Wendy McKenna. Yeah, they're just there to be cutesy. I do think Michael Jeter had some fun moments.
The little gay priest, is that what he's called?
Yeah, math teacher. And he's the math teacher.
He's really cute. But yeah, they're just like, I don't know how I classify this. I guess it's a musical because it's not funny.
It's not funny.
It's not heartwarming.
And then it's like you have Shirley Ralph is what's her face?
Lauren Hill's
mother who
doesn't want her to sing
because singing doesn't put money on the table.
Singing doesn't pay the bills. But then it's like
choir's
even her character's not well written.
Choir's an extracurricular mom.
Like I'm just trying to have a fucking hobby, bitch. Jesus.
God damn
it.
It is fun seeing some of the young kids like Alana Eubank, who from the film Waiting, who has that memorable dessert making sequence, and she's a favorite of mine in the film Freeway, opposite Reese Witherspoon as a fellow inmate. Jennifer Love Hewitt, Ryan Toby is Amal, the one who gets to sing that very, I guess it's considered a notable moment with that high note. It's fun seeing some of them, but there's really no like flavor to this movie.
Speaking of Jennifer Love Hewitt and there being no jokes, the one funny line I wrote down is Jennifer Love Hewitt's character is very obsessed about her appearance, and when she finds out they're going to compete in this like choir competition, she's like, "Oh my God, what are we going to wear?" And one of the girls says, "Clothes, Margaret." I thought that was funny. Then they have a fundraiser, and we're told that the neighborhood they live in is like not the best, and they have this big fundraiser where they're passing out baskets to collect money, and I just thought someone would have stolen those baskets in that old raggedy ass neighborhood.
The neighborhood didn't seem that raggedy to me.
Then these students are not well written. They're very one-dimensional, and several students throughout the film, when there's like a turning point where they should like push through the discomfort and make a better decision, there's like at least 4 students who make a sensible choice. Like there are at least 4 students who say, "Hey, wait guys, like we need to do this for this." And I just kept thinking like all these sensible students, and they couldn't get their act together without Whoopi Goldberg. I thought that was just a really poor writing job.
So Bill Duke, who has a cameo in this, and you're like, "Oh, it's that guy." I'm like, "Yeah, he directed this." This was, I think people always forget, and I brought, because I've just recently watched a few films he's directed, forget that he was a very talented director. And this was in his, like, the golden era of a lot of black directors getting to direct a lot of really interesting things, and not just quote unquote black films. But this was hot off the heels of a Rage in Harlem, which I saw recently with Forrest Whitaker and Robin Givens and Gregory Hines. Excellent movie. I highly recommend it. And Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne, which is now part of the Criterion Collection, also highly recommended. This is right after that, in between Hoodlum, starring Lawrence Fishburne. So this felt like it should have been, I don't think it was as big of a hit as it should have been for him. And if it had been, it probably would have really assisted his career.
The film culminates with this like competition choir performance, and the group does like a 90s hip-hop version of Joyful Joyful, which was cringy because then we have like rapping. But a highlight was, and I can't believe I didn't know this, within the performance they kind of take modern references, which are supposed to be like early 90s, and they have like a play on Janet Jackson's What Have You Done For Me Lately? So that was a nice surprise. Lastly, I think this film did a poor job of orienting the audience to where it's taking place, because we kept saying like, where are they supposed to be? And then when we find out they were in San Francisco the entire time, I was shocked.
Yeah.
I thought they were in like Harlem or something.
Yes.
The way they're acting.
Yeah, I was like, the San Francisco.
We need to wrap this up, but what would you...
Is Potrero Hills in San Francisco?
I don't fucking know.
Like, isn't that...
Oh, my sister went to a school called El Potrero, actually.
I think Potrero, that's... Because then that's supposed to be not an unseemly neighborhood. Like, I don't think San Francisco really has...
But
anyway,
we need to wrap this up. What would you give this film?
2.
I would give it 2.5.
But Jennifer Lewis is one of the backup singers.
Dancers in the Vegas show in the very beginning.
This reminded me of the styling of this, because I also recently watched To Sir with Love with Sidney Poitier. It very much reminded me of that. The scene where Kathy Najimy is doing sex education and they're bringing up promiscuity has like very watered down associations to me with that part where they burn the used tampon in Sydney's classroom.
Okay. Well, anyway, yeah, I wouldn't watch it again, but
No,
but there you go, Sister Act 2.
Joyful Noise and Pitch Perfect. It feels very much like all of those.
Yeah. Okay, final topic, because I heard someone talking about this, and I thought it'd be interesting to ask you. How do you feel about giving, I don't know the current proper word for homeless people.
Unhoused.
Unhoused? I would just say bums, but I know I'm not supposed
That's
to.
not the proper term. I think homeless is nicer than that. Or
how do you feel, or what is your protocol?
Hobo camp.
What is your protocol when a hobo asks you for money?
I say, sorry, I don't have any, which is usually true. I don't carry cash. But if I did, I wouldn't give it to him.
Okay.
Just because if I do that, they would be giving away a lot of money where we live. But
I think that's my thought. Like, if I give one person money, I'd have to give every person money. And then living in Los Angeles, like, I would have no money with every person who asked for it.
Have I given money to people before? Yes.
I have never given money.
Oh, I have a couple times. But I just increasingly, I just very politely try to acknowledge that I'm being approached because another human is approaching me.
You are very good at, like, acknowledging when someone asks you. I don't. Because I feel like, and you know how I feel like it's so disrespectful. Like, if I'm taught, you know how people just approach you, like, and they don't say, excuse me. They don't, like, it's just like, give me $1. Do you have any money? And it's like, you're asking every person.
It's disrespectful, but I don't think, we're talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and they are not at the level of respecting that I'm in the middle of a conversation. It's like they have a need, and that need is overriding, social etiquette. So,
well, this might be controversial, but I feel like I don't believe most people who approach me are in dire need, because the fact that some people may be unhoused, or, like, I don't know people's situation, but I don't believe, in the neighborhood, like, we live in LA and now we live in a new neighborhood, but our previous neighborhood that we lived in for several years, it's like I would see the same people in the same corner.
For some people it definitely is a racket, and you see, like, documentaries and exposés on how some people do that, but that, to me, that's none of my business, and I'm not going to be, I don't want to be bothered to the effect of them ruining my day or even my moment. So I don't
respond to people, because if they say, do you have spare change? I'm not going to lie and say no, because I do have money. I always carry cash. So I just don't respond, because I don't think you deserve. It's just like how people accost you at the grocery store. Like, do you care about, like, childhood hunger, or do you care about, and it's like, don't do that to me.
To me, those are more awkward, because then I have to make a statement of, like, I do, but I'm busy right now.
Yeah, I don't like that. Like, I just don't like being accosted, and then it's like, if I tell you, it's just a numbers game. Like, if I tell you no, you're gonna ask the next person behind you.
Sure.
And if you were really in need, because here's the final thought in the last 1 minute. If I were truly in need, if I found myself, like, someone stole, I carry a bag with all my things in it. If someone stole my bag and I had no phone, no money, no wallet, no keys, and I was, like, 50 miles away, the first thing I would do is ask someone to help me call the police. And I would ask a police officer for help.
Sure.
That's what I would do.
Sure, but
I would say, excuse me, someone stole my wallet. I don't know how to call my husband to get a ride home. Can you help me?
Sure.
So I just don't understand why people think, like, it's not my responsibility to
it's not
pay for you to get gas. Everyone's racket is like, I need 39 cents for gas or whatever. Like,
sure,
no.
Sure. But at the end of the day, like, whether or not that person is being truthful or honest or actually in need, one, I'm most likely not going to help them, but it's a human that has asked me a question, so I will respond.
I respect that approach, yes.
And that is about it. But, again, that's not, to me, a hard set rule. Like, no, I'll never give anyone money again. Like, everything is context and what I'm reading from a situation, and not like I'm all knowing and all wise, but, generally I don't. So that's that.
Okay. Well, do you have anything to say before I end this audio?
I was going to read You Lady Lazarus in entirety by Sylvia Plath, but we don't have time for me to properly do that in 45 seconds. So
darn. Anything else?
Damn.
You're going to read an entire poem?
It's a good poem. I don't know.
Oh, no. Thank you. Bye.